we were not finding any reply from Stephen or William. So I sent it to Elizabeth. She said that she will put it across to get this paid. Because I first checked with the internal team if this invoice is correct. She said yes. So that's when I went to Elizabeth. So hopefully this should get, the huge one will get cleared. I don't know when, might be the next month. And I think the rest all is pretty clear and decent. Only thing, the MD invoices, which Steven said that Paula will take care, right?
Yeah.
So I just left it. But we are good. As I said, we are less than, if the 77K or the MD invoice are not there, we would be very less. But now we're just 132K. That's good.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, my podcast is starting, so I've been trying to share it. I'm doing like two things at once. My apologies.
That's okay. I did see in Star, in like busy with a lot of things that you like doing.
Yeah. I've been busy trying to be more consistent. So, yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Because Natalia, she's been taking over the invoices. So I haven't done any work. I've just been getting paid to sit here. So I've been doing my other stuff. So that's great.
And when is the last day you're gonna be here? Is it today? Because then 31st is a Sunday, right?
Today is my last day with BBH. I'm gonna take my computer to the post office this evening, and then I leave the United States in November. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting.
I know, but only thing, I'm going to cancel because I don't think even you're not there. I don't think even Steven is going to attend the call. And as you said, Natalia is in a different time zone. Oh, you changed the color, the brightness, because it was all orangey. It was so bright, and now it's become sober.
Oh,
So I just
good.
think, what did you do something with the lighting, or it was very bright when you?
No, I don't know. I don't
Because
know. The
everything
lighting.
was like,
Yeah, the lighting in this room is weird because I don't have a like lampshade on this lamp. So it's just really bright and sometimes it makes me look orange, but I don't know.
yes, it was. You were looking like the sun, right? Sun rays are so bright. So with this orange hair, and my dog looked orange. So I was like, oh my god, this is Jasmine's new look for the last. But did you have a word with Stephen William? No, it was just you never had. You did you speak to anybody before, or the last working day, or did you get a chance to talk to any of them?
No, I think whatever information you need about those invoices will have to come from Bill and
Steven.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. I'm having a moment with my stuff right now. It's being weird and pissing me off. What's good, y'all? This is your girl, Miss JLH, and I'm here with Ashlee Haze for a new episode of The Check-In. We're going to go ahead and check in with Ashlee from wherever she is.
That was so weird.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy this new episode. Ashlee, welcome to The Check-In.
Thank you so much for having me, Jasmine.
I had a really good interview with this Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, Tell the people who you are, where you're from, and what you're about.
Yeah, so my name is Ashlee Haze. I'm a poet and spoken word artist. I was born in Chicago, Illinois,
Yes,
raised in the
like interviewing
suburbs
people,
of Illinois
right?
until my family moved us to Atlanta, Georgia when I was about 9 years old. And I was raised in East Atlanta. And now, fast forward all the way through that, I've lived here over 20 years. I'm a resident of East Atlanta. I live in Reynoldstown and East Beltline. And yeah, I'm a poet, multi hyphenate. I'm a philosopher. I'm a media producer. I think the big three are poet, philosopher, producer, and then the production has a lot of lanes. I love to just make art and make things happen. So I produce stage productions, film, audio books, books, almost anything you can figure out how to make. I probably can produce it or have tried to.
I know that's right. That's awesome. So you did get started with poetry at a
Yeah,
pretty young age,
that's
around
good.
high
And
school
you said
sometime,
November,
right?
I
Um,
actually started when I was about 10, but then I started taking it seriously in high school.
okay, gotcha. That's when you start. Yes. So let us know, like, how you got into that really, and why was it so fascinating for you?
Yeah, so I became a poet after my mom told me I was going to be a poet, and I just did not want to be one. I was like, I want to be a rapper. Poetry's boring. I had this idea. I was like, I don't want to be no poet. And
but yeah,
then, lo and behold, she got me to do like a poem for a church event, and I've been writing ever since. I think I didn't realize how much I had to say, and I didn't realize how therapeutic
you said to
writing
crowd,
could be. And so it became
okay?
something that I naturally did. I had a natural gravitation for it. It was my gift to write. And so I've been doing it
Be
ever since.
in each other's lives.
Absolutely. I actually started writing at a young age as well. Well, not that young because you definitely started before me. But I actually didn't start writing poetry until high school myself, and I did find it very therapeutic. I found it as a lot of times as a young black woman, we really couldn't say a lot of things that we wanted to say.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
is that how you
Let's get
felt
the
with your
18 to
poetry
you
as
one
well? You were
last
just
time.
able to get out a lot of things that you weren't able to say out loud.
Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, exactly. As a little girl,
oh yes,
I teach workshops on
yes.
like how adults
What
can
happened?
access their
Yeah.
emotions, suppressed
So
emotions. And one of the things that I always had to suppress was angry,
I'm still
especially being a little black girl in a traditional black mom's house. You better not be stomping around here. You better not, raise your voice. You can't talk no kind of way. You better not stomp up them stairs. So I think I didn't realize how much I needed an outlet
no,
for
you don't need
anger
to.
or being
So we
disappointed or displeased, things that aren't welcome from children in particular environments.
oh
I'm a
that
strong advocate for children feeling their range of emotions
go
now, being
behind
able to sit in them
the
because of that
gate
experience.
and then
That's a blessing. That's awesome. Um,
Mhm.
what is some advice that you give during these
the
sessions in
things
order
which
to guide people to
easier to understand because
silences?
remember in your absence you
Yeah,
wanted
so one of the things I give
all
people is
all the things
prompts
are
of like
and you
one of my
put them
favorite prompts to teach
together
is
right.
called petty poetry, and it's
Yeah,
just the art of saying the petty things that you were thinking in the
yes,
moment. And sometimes that's an easy place to start of just like, you
you
jerk
look
cut me off in
ashward, you
traffic
look
and
happy,
that's why your
very
bumper broke. Just
like
little petty stuff that
you
doesn't mean
just
a
look
lot. But what I
very
find is
look
that if
very
you can just
content
crack
now.
the door
You know,
open,
just go
oftentimes
back
people
and
like,
leave
yo,
all the best
I've
way
not
for
liked the way I've been
what
treated in my family for a long time, and I've
and
never had the
like
space to say it
right
or
the
to
way
express
it is.
my
And
disdain
yes,
about mistreatment that I've
the
experienced.
last
And so
have
all I do is I try to give
you
people
can
a
also go once
permission
in a while,
slip,
right?
and it's on them if they want to take the field trip.
I agree. I think
Lovely
that a prompt
Cassidy.
is a great way to get started. A lot of times when you're not sure what you really want to say, I know especially when you're in a rut and you don't really have the words or
You
you
too
just
have
have a
everything amazing
blockage
in your life.
when you're
Thank you.
trying to say something. A prompt is really good for me. So,
Bye.
what are some of the things that you use in order to get out of a creative block that you may have?
Prompts, I turn to other poets for prompts. Oftentimes, I'll even enroll in workshops so that I can really intentionally create new work. I'm a big proponent of people taking workshops. We don't stop learning just because we're adults. And I try to live some life experiences. I wrote a book, Smoke, and I'm working on my next book, which is going to be part memoir, part poetry. And so the journey to that for me looks like living enough life to write about, you know?
Yes, yes. Um, let's talk about you becoming an author. So from poet to author, how has that journey been for you? Do you find it difficult? Do you find creating a whole book a tough journey? Because I'm currently in the process of writing a book as well, and I'm finding the
Yeah,
journey very difficult.
really? Yeah. So,
Yeah, I have a creative block right now, so I don't know how to end my story that I have. But are
mm,
you currently writing a story, or is this a book of poetry?
it's memoir. So it's my
Okay.
lived experiences written creatively. So a lot of prose stories, stories from my life, my journeys. I've toured the last 10 years as a poet. So I'll be telling some stories from that part of my life and merging them with poems. And I don't necessarily find it hard, but I think it's because my upbringing. My mom was an author. And so it was just
Mm.
pretty easy for her generally to publish books. When she wanted to sit down, write it top to bottom, and publish it. And so she helped me publish my first book. So I was releasing stuff in college. Even when I didn't think I had enough for a book, she instilled that confidence in me of
Wow.
like, yeah, you do. Just put a cover on it. And now I publish books for others because I know how to do it so well. So when it comes to me, the hardest part is always the content. But for me, I usually have a point where I feel like, this is done. And then we'll go to editing. And then, I may add some stuff during the editing process or take things out. But I think for me, anything can be a book. Like it doesn't, people have this idea that it needs to be so long. For me, it just needs to be a complete narrative, and sometimes it can be an incomplete narrative. We can need to leave off and know that another part is coming. So, for me, I think oftentimes we overthink things, or things become like mysticized. Like, oh, you're an author, and I wrote some stuff down, I published it, and here we are.
I agree. And I thank you for that advice because I do think sometimes we get on social media or we're looking at what other people are doing. We get in our head about certain things and we're like, oh, maybe I still should do this because they did this. Or,
Hmm.
so it's a lot of overthinking. How do you calm yourself from the overthinking and just do it?
I oftentimes think, what would a mediocre white man do? I know that sounds crazy,
No, because
but
that's my advice too.
I oftentimes think of the mediocre guy at the job in the cubicle who's there, who's getting a paycheck, who would likely have the audacity to publish a book or a podcast. And I'm like, I kind of have to move with that kind of audacity. And I actually I have coaches, and so I had one coach in particular, and she's like, "If not you, then who?
Mhm.
Why not you?"
Mm.
Asking those investigative questions. Do you want somebody else to tell your story? Do you think somebody else should have the spotlight or be publishing their book? And that can be true, and that doesn't take away from what you have to say.
So true. Now I don't know how old you are because you're looking really young in these
36.
streets. Okay, okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm a millennial.
It's giving 20s. But
Don't say
yeah,
that. Thank you.
definitely. But I just wanted to talk about you mentioned a coach. At our big ass age a lot of times we don't think we need to be coached or have a
Listen,
mentor or anything. But how important is that to you? Or how important is that for anyone really?
I don't know how people do it without it. Like I just, and I think there are people who are great, and I'm a pretty self-motivated learner. Like I could probably read a few books and figure out a thing, but for me, it was just so important to have people who lived the experiences that I wanted. So when I realized I wanted to be a poet and when I wanted to do that full time, I talked to someone I knew in my community who had been there. And then
Mm,
they're like, you should talk to this person, you should talk to this person. There's something so invaluable about getting a playbook from somebody who has walked the road. And if you're wise, that means you can avoid a lot of their mistakes. So I absolutely am an advocate. You should have a mentor for so many reasons, not only to get from them, but to be accountable to them.
mm.
Someone, you can say, hey, in 2 years, ask me, did I start this project up? Or hey, I'm going to start this project up. And they check in, hey, how's it going? I think I absolutely am an advocate for having that in your life. And for me, when I meet people, it's often a thing that I'm curious about. Do you have a mentor? Do you have a coach? Do you have someone whose opinion you trust? Because I think accountability is such a big value of mine. Having a mentor or a coach helps me practice that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that wholeheartedly. If I'm not reaching out to someone that's with in the realm of what I'm doing, I definitely have a good community of friends who also keep me accountable. So I think a little bit of both is super important for people as well. So I definitely agree. Um, let's talk about you being a philosophy major because I think that in this day and age we're kind of losing a sense of what philosophy really is. Maybe
Hmm.
do you feel that?
I feel I think that it may look different depending
Okay.
on your community for sure. But yeah, on a global scale, we are leaning STEM, right? We're pushing science, technology, engineering, math. Like do these things. You need to know how to program, you need to program AI. And then you get to program an AI and then people don't know how to think about the ethics of what they're doing, which
Hmm.
falls under philosophy, ethics, how we live our lives and how our actions are impacting others. I think we don't put enough emphasis on the liberal arts as a whole, but definitely not the philosophical side of it.
I totally agree. How important do you feel like philosophy is, especially nowadays, and with the directions that we're moving, especially towards certain technology becoming more in tuned in our lives? How important is it still to have philosophy and have these discussions around? And also, I guess, explain a little bit what philosophy is exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So philosophy is the study of knowledge. It means love of wisdom.
Hmm.
And then broadly, it's essentially, yeah, I don't want to give like my definition. I want to
Because that's all I have too is just my broad definition.
questions about there's
Yeah.
questions about existence, who we are, why we're here, knowledge, values, reason, mind, language, rational and systematic inquiry. So for me, it's the art of searching for the truth, and it's the art of trying to find alignment, figure out the whys to a lot of our questions. It's definitely a field that centers on questions. Oftentimes, we don't have the answers to, but we try to get as close as we can or find what aligns with us.
Yes.
So that's what it is. And so once you realize what it is, I realized how often people aren't bringing that with their actions, especially on a political scale. Like when we talk about values, what are our collective values? Right now, we're valuing capitalism, we're valuing false falseness in the media, untruth in the media. Like if that's our values, if that's what we're investing in, um, if that's our collective philosophy, then I think we got some more work to do. And I think oftentimes people put there's a primary philosophical problem, which is like means and ends, right? And you've heard like this is a means to an end. And I think people get so concerned on the end, how much money I can make, what I can get out of it, that they don't think about who can be harmed in the means.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Hmm. Then maybe I'm a philosopher at heart.
I think if you're bold enough, brave enough to ask questions and get curious about stuff, then I think you're a philosopher.
I love that. So then, how do you navigate the balance between artistic expression and philosophical inquiry within your creative process?
They fuel each other. I think being an artist made me a better philosopher. I think being a philosopher
Oh
made me a better
wow,
artist.
I love that.
Yeah, I ended up calling my company Philosophy Media Group because I wanted people to instantly know that thought has gone into the work, right? Like I care about the ethics of the work and the values that are at play and what I produce. And then being an artist, when I approach the lens of philosophy and trying to figure out and find theories and stuff, my real life experience impacts that, which impacts my art. So they work together.
Do you only draw from your real life experience, or do you tend to draw from the experiences of others as well?
Experience with others as well. So those are my primary experiences, myself, and then the experiences of my community, and then the world around me.
Yeah, same here. I feel that.
Hmm.
How does your understanding of both Black history and philosophical concepts influence your work?
Who when I create work, and one of the courses that I teach is ethics and courage for artists. It is so important to me how people feel after encountering my work. Um, it is important to me the impact that it has on the audience. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that all of my work is particularly uplifting, but what it is a story that I hope shows how to get to the other side of a thing. And so even or a story that brings us closer together instead of further apart, like more shared experiences. And
Hmm.
so that's my ethic of my work is how is this going to live past the moment when it leaves my mouth, when they read it, how is it going to impact their lives? And I hope more artists think about the longer term impact of what we do.
You've mentioned ethics a few times, and honestly, that's a big word for me as well when I'm creating work or writing anything. How important is ethics in our community? Because I do feel like we've lost it a little bit, having some sort of ethical behavior
I'll say,
in a lot of areas in life. I don't
I'll
know
say.
if it's the way we're viewing the way we get things nowadays. I don't know if it's the capitalism taking over. I don't know what's going on, but the ethics is not
Yeah.
ethicing.
So something came to me actually when I was reading your questions, particularly about kind of where we are and what I see. There is a particular ethics that is rooted in survival, and I think we got to get out of that. I think that is because your idea of rightness changes, right? If you have all your needs met, that idea of ethics looks totally different than if you don't. And so I think, I don't necessarily think there's a privilege of ethics, but I absolutely think there has to be an effort to push past your current circumstances, to practice the ethics of your future, or the future you wish to see. Which I also wanted to say, I'm also an Afrofuturist, right? I write a lot about things that don't exist in hopes
Mm,
that we get there.
right.
So I think that when I think about the lack of ethics or the maybe poorly guided ethics, ethics rooted in survival, i.e., scamming. I was in a business breakfast this morning, and scamming came up. Like, scam. This is scam Lanta, unfortunately. And so when I see folks doing that, I generally have a lens of compassion because I imagine that those are folks who are trying to survive something, or
Mm,
who feel like they don't have enough, or feel like they aren't enough. And I think when we carry that lens, we can not only see how someone can get there and see how difficult it can be out of there. But what I think it caused me to do is to just show that you can get there.
Mm. I never thought about that. Your ethics change, or they are different
They
depending
can change,
on what
yeah.
you want. I never thought of that. That's a really good point. Wow. So when you say that, it's like when you think of that, how do we all get on the same page of like, I mean, isn't there just a set of ethics that we all should just be following? Is that not like a thing, you think?
Yeah, we hope, but there's so many values. One thing I always encourage people to do is there's like 200 values on a list of values. And so your core are usually the top 8 to 10 that you prioritize in your everyday life. That doesn't mean I don't practice the other values. And so when we think about values, that informs our ethics. And so if we aren't in shared values, then it's not likely that our ethics are going to be like if I value accountability, but you value capitalism by any means, we're probably not going to do well in community. We're probably going to be, disjointed. And so I just encourage people, even on smaller scales, to just find your people. Find the people who you share values with, ethics with. Try to tell people about your values and ethics. Invite them to be a part of it. But otherwise, I think we gotta just find our people.
I agree with that. That's like one of my favorite things to say, especially nowadays, in a time where a lot of us are thinking differently. I mean, the earth is
Yeah.
flat again for some reason. So,
It is so I can't even go down this rabbit hole of like put brains back in the heads, put teachers back in the school,
I don't know what's going on. Like, gravity is
put books
absolutely
back in the
everywhere.
hands.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yes. That's a
who's
good
that?
point. So, as a poet, are you out here reading? Do you read a lot?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. This ain't just for show. Although I'm guilty of having that stack of books that you still need to read and work through. But I'm almost always listening to an audiobook. And so usually when I'm taking walks, when I'm taking long drives, when I'm working out, so I'm getting the contents of a book even if I'm not physically reading it.
I agree. Or I'm always reading like a newspaper or something. Well, not an actual newspaper, because you know.
Yeah. But articles from reputable
Absolutely.
sources. From
Yes.
reputable sources. I miss
Gotta
the
add that in
magazine
there.
era. I miss how much I used to learn reading magazines.
Oh,
So reading doesn't have to be limited to looking like this, but you should be trying to get the contents of a book, get the contents of knowledge from a reputable source.
agreed. And also it just helps you build stronger communication and vocabulary when you read as well. Like, it just
Absolutely.
helps in so many facets that we don't realize. So,
And I hate that we have such an illiteracy problem, especially in the South.
and it's growing apparently.
It's
So,
wrong, and laziness doesn't help, right? If the caption's too long, we're not reading it. If the video's longer than 3 minutes, we ain't listening. I listen to 20-hour audiobooks. So we're talking about a culture of laziness, of quick fixes, right? If that's our ethic, then we're in trouble.
absolutely. And it's funny you say that. I prefer to read a book than to actually listen to it, because I will like be over it. I'd rather just read it.
Yeah. And everybody's different. I'm finding that audiobooks are very niche. I didn't realize where my love for them came from, but as a kid, my teachers used to play us audiobooks,
Okay.
and I just have always loved narration. I think I love documentaries because I love narration so much.
And I do love a good documentary, but I don't know what it is about an audiobook that just does it
And
for me.
it's fun. You read, and that's
Yes,
good.
yes. What are you reading right now? Can I ask?
Yeah. So audio. What am I listening to right now? I have to pull up my Audible. So I try to have like fiction and nonfiction going. So my nonfiction
Oh my
listen
gosh,
is
okay, let me see
drama.
it.
Try probably, and sometimes I'll have like a poetry book in rotation.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, this one is called Drama Free: A Guide to Managing Unhealthy Family Relationships, by Nidra Glover Tawab. And then that's my nonfiction. And then Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan is my fiction. I love romance novels. I don't know if people know that about me. I
Okay.
love romance novels, and Kennedy Ryan gets it right so often for me. She has this series on Black women and women of color who are friends, and she does like a story for each of their friend groups. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. What are you reading?
Oh, thank you for asking. Okay,
Yeah.
we're out here. So, my nonfiction is the autobiography of Malcolm X because I never read it before.
Classic. Uh huh.
Yeah, really good. And then my fiction is The Reformatory, and I don't want to say the name wrong, but it's like Tanana Drive. I don't think I'm saying her name
Mm-hmm.
right.
The Reformatory. Is that like science fiction or?
It is definitely like a horror slash thriller vibe. I'm just getting
Uh
into it, but
huh.
I love a good horror or thriller book going on. So, yeah, it's about these boys. I actually don't know the rest of it because I literally just started it. But it's about these boys who are I think in like a group home or something like that, and it's a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of drama going on there. But yeah, it's a thriller. Good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely check that one out and read the synopsis, y'all, because I didn't give a good description of that one, but it got rave reviews, and that was the vibe that I was on since I love a good horror thriller action.
And that's not my genre at all. If I'm reading fiction, it's a romance novel.
Okay. See, I got out of romance in high school. I was really into romance big time, and Terry McMillan was one of the ones that I would read a lot
Mhm.
of her books. But I don't know. Lately, I've been into horror and thriller. I don't know if you've ever heard of the author Brandon Macy, but he writes a lot of thriller and horror books, and I've just been obsessed with his work. So.
Okay, yeah, no, I hadn't. I will read some futurism when it gets too sciencey. I'll be like, oh,
Oh yeah,
okay.
I understand that.
Can't do dragons, but
Yeah,
that's why there's so many genres of books, and so you don't have to be pinned to any particular one.
absolutely, and catering to so many people because I don't really do dragons either in my books, but it's funny because I do dragons on TV, so I don't know what that. It just depends. For you, in what ways do you contribute? Like, what do you contribute to the works of art? What do you specifically write about? I mean, I know a lot of your stuff does have to do with like relationships and love. I've
Mhm,
heard, especially on like your albums,
mhm.
which let's dive into that. But what else do you feel like you contribute to the conversation of art and poetry?
Sure. I hope that I do contribute, especially to the futurism conversations. I'm passionate about that. I started introducing futurism in smoke, because I knew that that's kind of where I wanted to go, as to try to dream of a world where ethics were the standard, where particular ethics were the standard, to sort of dream of something we're not living in right now. I hope I contribute, beyond love and relationship, community, right? Being in community, just as a thing outside of your romantic relationship, but how are we in community with each other? What kind of people and characters am I in community with? Well, how does that impact me? What do I think about that? So I try to reflect that in my work more as like capturing almost like time capsule work of like, these are also the key players who have been in my story, which is how we get to relationships, because oftentimes, that was a key player in my story. Oftentimes a bad actor, but we won't go there. A lot of bad actors there. And so now what you'll see from me in the future is a world that is decentered. That romance is decentered. So what does the rest of life look like if that isn't present? if that isn't the biggest chunk all the time. And so, yeah, I've been exploring that more.
I love that.
And of course, ethics and philosophy and getting people to think about the how and the why.
I love that. Um, what do you feel like is important to? Oh no, I lost it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh
It happens.
no,
It
I
happens
had
to me all the time.
okay, for over a decade, you've been sharing your work and sometimes in the most unexpected places. What have been some of your most memorable platforms and which you've shared your work?
Memorable platforms. Immediately, Tiny Desk was really fun.
Yes, fire.
It's really fun. I did some work. I have a ongoing partnership with Atlanta United, the soccer team. They are very dope to me. Once they let me put on a show in the private wing of Mercedes Benz, and that was just so fun. You can see that on YouTube or on my Instagram page. Where else? I've been to New York Fashion Week twice. That's always a good time when I get to do that. Bring poetry to Fashion Week. WNBA, I did a spot for the WNBA's 50th anniversary. TV One, I had a 2 year partnership with them doing spots and poetic narration and voiceover. We won an award together, a Telly Award. So
Mm.
um, those are a few places where poetry has taken me, and it's been a really fantastic ride.
And that's awesome because when we think of poetry, or poets, we're automatically assuming that they're poor and they don't, they won't make money from it. And
Absolutely.
honestly, a lot of our famous black poets died poor and didn't make a lot of money. So, how does it feel to be like living this dream and doing something that you love?
Yeah. One, I absolutely don't want to dispel the myth that I haven't been broken as a
I'm
poet,
screaming,
but I
yes.
do want to say what I'm not going to do is cap you down. I can't cap you down.
You will not get into this being rich at first.
For surely, and I always tell people sometimes you will still have to get a job. Like being what I want people to get is that being a poet or artist or singer or whatever, that is running a business. And so if you approach it like that, that you may not always be able to afford to be an employee of that business, or rather that business may not be able to afford employees. So you have to think about that. And so there are times where I'm working my day job and a poet. But all of that to say, seeing the ways in which you can flourish here, seeing in which, I've had really great years and runs where that's all I had to do was poetry has certainly been a blessing for me. It is. Going back to the mentor thing, I don't know that I would have thought that I could do it if I hadn't seen somebody else do it.
I love that. That's a blessing.
Mhm.
I love that. Um, to pick up, this was a question that I forgot that I remembered. How
Yeah.
important is representation? Because we don't always see a lot of us working in these lanes or doing these things and traveling off of the stuff that they love to do, or just I feel like we're also losing. Just the work of our artists when it comes to writing a little bit. I used to be so big on poetry back in the day. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know any new poets anymore. And why isn't that something? Because remember, we had Def Jam poetry. And it was just like such a big deal hearing people who were orators back in the day. And now it just doesn't seem like that anymore. So, how important is it to you to have that representation?
Yeah, I think representation is a key to us getting out of survival. And a word that I use in place of representation now is called witnessing. I use the word witnessing. What does it mean to witness someone who looks like me doing a thing that I want to do? Does that make me think it's more possible? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Does it make me more inclined to do it? Probably. It's so different. White poets can get to rock star status, they can become millionaires. in a way that is oftentimes different than what a black poet is able to achieve. So me seeing them doesn't immediately make me think that I can do a thing, but seeing a black person do it and achieve it makes me think, okay, that's to do it. And that makes me want to do a thing. It's an invitation almost, I think, when you witness, and that is in everything. When I witness people in healthy relationship dynamics who look like me, I'm like, oh, that relationship dynamic doesn't have to be that way. I think it's more possible. And then we can divest from this attribution to whiteness, or only white folks have good careers, or non-black, or whatever the case may be. So it is extremely important to me that we constantly be witnessing folks from all walks, different walks, not just one particular path, but seeing folks who are doing what we want to do.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Um, I mean, I was obsessed with Jill Scott when she came out with her.
Who weren't we all?
Obsessed, and she really made me want to write even more. But even before then, it was Maya Angelou for me. It was Lauryn Hill, obviously. Paul Laurence Dunbar, Langston Hughes. It was like so many people that I started to discover more as I got into high school, and they definitely inspired me to write. Who were some of your inspirations growing up?
Yeah, the first poem that I ever like wrote and submitted for publishing was about, or it referenced, a local poet named Georgia Me, Tame. She's Atlanta based, and I saw her on Def Poetry Jam,
Oh,
and it witnessing this thick, statuesque black woman. She's very tall. She's like 6 feet tall. Perform poetry on a stage in New York and be as confident as she was. That moment changed the course of my career. I had
wow.
heard, black poets. I was familiar with, I think, J. Ivy at the time. There were other poets, Malik Salam, Malik Youssef, that I was familiar with. And yeah, but seeing Georgia, seeing a dark skinned, thick black woman on stage with all the power, and I think the poem was called Full Figure Potential. I was like, oh yeah, this is something that I can do. I have a poem about Missy Elliott that has made the rounds all around the world. So grateful for that poem. But that's my girl. Seeing somebody who looks like me. I'm School Queen Latifah.
Yes.
Just trying to
Yes.
think about pop culture. But of course, Maya, Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez. Then I encountered more modern works, the work of Nair Wahid, or even, there's so many books behind me. Let me see. This is my poetry. Dinesh, John Good, so many folks, Sarah Kay, Ashley Jones, like just being in community with poets. A lot of these folks I know or I have met. We recently lost Andrea Gibson, who's a white poet, but Barry, whose work was very impactful to me, who gave me a spotlight. So yeah, I've had so many brilliant influences.
Absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so the year is almost over. Before we get to my little
That's
trivia.
crazy to say.
I
That's so
know,
wild to
right?
say.
It went by so fast and it's
Got
been
four
so
months
much going on.
left.
Yeah. So, what have you accomplished so far that you want to hype up? And then, what do you have coming up for the people?
What I accomplished so far? I finished. Let's see, what year is this? 2025. And my first college tour in 2017. So 8 years of touring. I finished that this year.
Okay.
And then I announced that I was taking a break from touring. Um, so what I do now is I'm a full-time producer. For the most part, I still do talent work. As it's fun to me and as I want to do it, but I have been enjoying giving other people the spotlight. So I'm proud to have finished that chapter. Proud to have, we're almost done with my new album, next album,
Yes.
um, of work. Yeah, let's see.
Since 24.
I did a, yeah, Yeah, I did a complete marketing overhaul for a local chef. Again, that wasn't me being in my producer bag, but I'm proud of it because it shows that all the things that I did for me, for my advertising, branding, and marketing, I can now offer those systems to other artists and folks who are stepping into the spotlight and building their creative businesses. So that's been really, really dope. I produced a big stage show, Lyrics and Lyre, for City of Roswell. I also, you made a point about like seeing poets and having their poetry jam. And there are, if you on YouTube and we see Instagram reels, a lot of those going around now
Mhm.
about poets. So I'm going to be contributing to that conversation through the Philosophy Media brand. We did a poetry slam in the city of Roswell, recorded all of it. So those poems will be coming out this fall. Again, it's just giving other people the spotlight. That has been, I think, my lesson this year. My
Absolutely.
or what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
I love that. And I love the producer bag. And shout out to you because I feel like we do not have enough women out here in these producer streets, especially black women. So that's awesome. How does it feel to get behind the scenes of everything and produce? What is that like?
It is craziness. I talk to other producers. I'm like, why do we do this again? Like it's being paid to be crazy. Like,
Is it hard?
it is. So for me, there are hard things about it, but for me, it's a gift. Like I feel like I was gifted to manage systems and processes. So for me, and what's so crazy about it is that what a lot of people don't know is producing is simply managing the tasks that are associated with making a thing happen. And I think a lot of people don't know how many tasks that is, right?
Mm,
And so I'm a person who keeps lists and I make timelines. Like I was just thinking I gotta put up my whiteboard so I can know what I'm doing the rest of the year. So that being said, that list can be hundreds of things long. Call the
mm,
caterer, hire this person, hire this person, hire this person. Make sure that you confirm their travel. Make sure that you rent the video cameras. Make sure that you rent. Even there was a small bit of production just for this, right? I had to set up the microphone stand. I need to set the microphone. Then one of my stands had a missing piece. So I'm like, I gotta order the missing piece. People, I think that is the craziness of it, right? Like of always having the next thing to do. But we all do it because the reward, because the
yeah.
finished product, because of how you feel when the lights come on, because of how the audience feels once they see what it all led to, what the film looks like in post production and when it's distributed. I do it for, and it's still craziness. It's like a drug addict, right? Like I'm doing it, but nothing beats that when you feel like, I did what I feel like I was supposed to be doing, and other people are positively impacted by this. That's why anybody does anything hard, I think,
I totally agree.
or that's the reward for doing hard things.
Because I'm always jumping into something that I'm like, oh my gosh, do I really want to do this? This is a lot of work. And then I'm
And
like,
sometimes
okay,
the answer
I
is
could do
no.
this. Yes, yes.
And I have started saying no lately, even to myself, where I'm like, yes, you would love to produce a 30-minute consecutive series of poetic videos. One, do you have the budget? Two, who's going to do this list of 200 tasks, right? And so I'm in the process of training associate producers, which I
Okay.
think will also be a game changer. I want to teach people what I know, how to be producers in their own right. So yeah, but sometimes the answer is mm-mm. And sometimes it's yeah, it's gonna be worth it.
I love that. Yes. But this is how we build. This is how we grow. This is how we get community. And I just love this for us. This is awesome.
For sure. Same.
Yes. Okay, you out here doing big things, Ashley, and I love this for us and
Thank
you.
you. Same. Same. And I'm excited to see your book and to hear more about it.
Yay.
I
Thank you
love your
so
hair, by the
much. Oh my
way.
gosh, thank you so
Your
much.
hair
I've been
color and
freaking out
earrings.
about it
Yeah.
because I really like the color.
It's so darn cute. I was ginger, and then I decided to go honey blonde for a bit. So now I got to figure out. I think I'm gonna go red though next.
Yes, yes. Always switching it up. It's a great day to be a black woman at all times.
For sure, for sure. So versatile.
Yes. So I wanted to play a little game with you real quick. I usually have it technical difficulties, but
Okay.
but I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions about some poetry and poets and
Yeah.
see if you know the answers. So here we
Yeah.
go.
I
Which
know.
poet wrote the verse, "We wear the mask that grins and lies"? And I will.
Oh, I know we wear the mask.
Oh, great! So I'll give you
Was that
some.
Paul Lawrence?
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, great.
Yes. Okay. You didn't even need the bank.
I'm
Now
like,
this one's
Lord,
also.
today.
You know, I I tell people about that poem, and people still don't really have never really heard of it or have even heard of Paul Laurence Dunbar. So I love
hmm
that. um. Okay, this one's really easy though. So, which poet wrote the verse "Still I Rise"?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
The goat,
Yes.
the godmother, Maya.
Yes, yes,
Bless her
yes,
soul.
yes. Okay, and then we're gonna do a this or that. So, Nikki Giovanni, one has to go.
Absolutely. I will not play this game with
I'm
you.
screaming. So you either pick Nikki Giovanni or Gwendolyn Brooks. Which one goes?
I will not play this game with you.
Neither. I'm screaming.
Okay, all right. I don't want to do this,
I
but I
know.
think I'm gonna say Nikki mostly because I think of just, and not that Gwendolyn doesn't do this, but there are particular lines of Nikki's that I'm like, that is just so rhythmic and so poetic and dope, and I find that I revisit there maybe more often.
I love that. I actually haven't read enough of Nikki Giovanni's work to say that, so I definitely need to dive in. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Another one. One has to go. Maya Angelou or Langston Hughes. The struggle. Yeah. 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 That was a tough one
What
for
is
me.
the penalty if I do not answer this question?
Only death. No big
There's
deal.
no way to win. No, no. Like,
I know this sucks, but one definitely gotta go, girl.
that's so crazy to say. Oh no. Okay. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, the
No. You
struggle
could have done
real.
anything.
I could have.
If in the moment I had to pick one or the other over the other, I'm probably gonna pick Maya.
Wow.
But boy, am I gonna pick.
Yeah, you're a brave boy, and that was hard for me. But I think I'm picking Maya too, unfortunately. But fortunately, I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, last heart attack. One has to go. Lauren Hill or Jill Scott?
Oh, why would you ever? Absolutely not.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like if we were on a boat and you can only save one, who are you saving?
The one who arrived on time.
I
That is so bogus to say. I'm gonna be doing comedy more this fall.
Yes,
So
that was petty. But
no,
I see that.
so realistically, right? Okay, Lauren, I want you to know that you are one of the greatest poets that we have ever known. I do, and for that, I thank you. And I'm picking Jill because one, she has shown up to all the shows that I've gotten tickets to. And Jill Scott is one of those artists where I have this weird experience with her and Beyonce, oddly enough, where I feel like we've grown together. So I feel like when they release an album and artistry, I'm like, oh, we're here together. Like at the same time, like I feel like they are good documentarians. Um, and so for that, Jill's music has been with me since I was like, and not that Lawrence hasn't. Lawrence found me first. She was released earlier, but I think there's something in particular about Jill's tenderness and kindness. And Lauren, you have not given us a new album. You only ever given us one studio album that was solo, and then one unplugged album. So,
Yes, I
oh, but they're
totally.
so good. They are some of the best albums that
Oh,
have ever been released.
I tell people that
But
Unplugged album really did it for me.
woo,
Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. It
oh,
did. It does
man,
it.
it really did. So, this is not a slight at all, but it's just
Yes, I would have saved
that
Jill
has to be
too.
true.
I totally feel you. Her poetry book did something to my soul as a teenager. So I still have
Yeah.
it to this day. I just reread it. It did something to me again and sparked my creativity. So yeah, she does it for me. And I love what you said about growing with Beyonce. I was thinking about that like a while back about, people talking about I just don't think Beyonce's all that. And I'm like, how? When we had Destiny's Child, like we watched them literally grow from teenagers to women and they grew with us. Like now we're women as well. It's just like I don't see how you cannot admire her. Even if you don't like her music like that, it's just like you literally saw the journey. We saw that. It's insane to be honest. She's a mom now. Her kids are on stage with her. Like it's wild. It's wild.
I cannot be in community with people like that. Like because at a certain point it stops becoming opinion and it becomes falsehood and untruth. Like it's fine if that's not your taste, right? Like it
Right.
doesn't have to be your taste, but to say that she didn't work or build it or to not at least acknowledge that for me is a character deficit. Like there's
I
something in your character that doesn't want this to be true or thinks that you saying that it isn't true or valid makes it so. And that is the part of like that's gotta be between you and God.
I totally agree.
I just have
Big
to leave you to it. Like
yes. We value Beyonce over here.
I'm still at Black is King. We
You
left
feel
there
me?
too quickly.
I agree. Cause I don't feel like I really soaked that in. I
Man, so you sit
honestly
down and watch that whole thing and I'm like,
I didn't. I honestly just watched half of it again, and then I was like, "Oh, I need to run this back again" because I didn't even finish it the first time or this time again. So I just re-listened to the
this is an
album.
invitation, right?
Yeah,
This is an invitation to
no,
do that.
you're making some good points here.
Thank you.
So it was perfect. Ashley, thank you so much for coming in on the check-in.
Happy. This was so
This was
fun.
awesome. Just real quick before you go, is there any advice or knowledge you can drop for future poets, future orators, future uh, freaking producers, whatever you want to do out here, future philosophical leaders, whatever their fancy is? Any advice you can give them?
Yeah, yeah. The advice I give is the advice that I got in Elizabeth Gilbert's book called Big Magic.
Mm,
And it is that to find a way to live a creative life, even if you don't live a creative career, have a creative career, or have a creative vocation, I meet so many people, Uber drivers, people who ask me, "Oh, what are you in town for?" And people are like, "Oh, I used to write, or I used to do this." And I'm like, the only difference between us is that I kept doing it. I just chose to live a creative life. If there was no checks coming in, I would still find a way from, art or whatever. I would find a way to live a creative life. I'd find a way to dance at a family reunion. I find a way, to write even still, even if it isn't being published or distributed. I think we owe it to ourselves, to cultivate. And that's another thing. A creative life has to be cultivated. You've got to fight for it the way you fight for your workout life, the way we fight for our time with our therapist, and set boundaries around it and say, I am going to live a creative life.
Whoa, I love that. Blessings. So thank you, Ashley, so much for joining us on the
Thank
check-in.
you, Jasmine, for having me.
Course. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you catch another episode of the check-in on my YouTube channel. I will have the link in the descriptions. And I hope everyone has an amazing week. All right, y'all. Peace. That is really cute.